Madam President, I come to the floor today. We're facing the prospect of a government shutdown. At midnight tonight, funding runs out, the lights will go dark, and when that happens, everyone suffers. No one wins. Everyone suffers. Look, I know that. Madam President, you know that. Republicans know that. And we've offered a solution that keeps the government open and extends the Children's Health Insurance Program. As a doctor, I will tell you how valuable that program is for children all across the country. The House has already passed this legislation. Democrats in the Senate have promised to block it, to stand in the way. Some have actually been bragging that they can shut down the government and that they want to shut down the government. Why would someone want to do that? Well, here's what the New York Times says. The front page this morning: Senate shutdown looms as spending bill advances. House approves a stopgap measure while Democrats dig in on immigration. That's the reason that Democrats want to shut down the government of this entire country over the issue of immigration. That's the New York Times. Here's the Washington Post this morning. Shutdown looms despite House action. Democrats tie Dreamers to passage of budget deal. There it is, New York Times, Washington Post. The minority leader is forcing a shutdown over the issue of illegal immigration. Democrats are ready to set aside all other issues, all other deadlines, all other priorities. Republicans have written and passed legislation that funds the government. That means funding for our military, funding for our veterans. It means funding for opioid treatment. It means funding for everything that our federal government does now. And it funds the Children's Health Insurance Program. And not just for a week or a month, it funds it for the next 6 years. Madam President, this is a program that helped provide medical care for almost 9 million children and needy families across this country. There are more than 7,300 people in my home state of Wyoming who benefit from this program. The money for this program is going to start running out in some places very soon. The funding's been in limbo since last fall. Some states are getting ready to send out letters to families, letters that tell those families that their coverage is going to be discontinued because this Senate didn't act. States have been asking for certainty. That's what we're doing with this legislation. We're providing that certainty. We're taking care of this program, so vital to families across every state in this country, for the next 6 years. Democrats are blocking it. It does seem to be that what they really want to do is make a political point at the expense of everything else and everyone else. They're willing to hold 9 million children and their families hostage to do it. They're willing to hold hostage more than 300 million Americans who could be harmed by a prolonged government shutdown. And it's all over the immigration issue, as they talk about in the Washington Post and the New York Times, an issue known as DACA. It stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Now, it was intended as a temporary program to deal with the problem of people who were brought to this country illegally when they were just young children. The program was set up by an executive action by President Obama. It wasn't done by a law. It wasn't a bipartisan program. It was a Democrat president acting on his own to kick the can down the road on this issue. The issues related to immigration, and specifically illegal immigration, are very tough, and we need to keep working toward a solution. There are discussions going on every day within the Senate, Republican and Democrat, between the House, between the Senate. Why do people want to risk blowing up these discussions? Well, it seems that whatever we agree to needs to include important matters of border security. Because to me, border security is national security, and that has to be included in that discussion and deliberation. Any solution is going to have to include real fixes to our broken immigration system so that we're not just having the same argument over again in a couple more years. I think coming up with a solution like this does continue to take time, not certainly something we can get done by midnight tonight, Madam President. It's not even a good reason why we need to rush to solve this problem in a few hours. Fact is that no current DACA recipients are going to lose their benefits under the program for 6 months. Democrats are setting an arbitrary deadline of midnight tonight, and they're threatening to shut down the government if their deadline is not met. The legislation Republicans have offered takes care of one emergency, and it gives negotiators time to reach consensus on this separate and unrelated subject. The continuing resolution already passed by the House provides certainty to the Children's Health Insurance Program, and it allows us a chance to work out some certainty on the DACA issue. Some Democrats are saying they refuse to do that. Why? Well, it's interesting, Madam President, because in 2013, the minority leader, Senator Schumer, thought that a government shutdown at that time, he said, was a terrible idea. He said, no matter how strongly one feels about an issue, he said, you shouldn't hold millions of people hostage. These are his words. He said, that's wrong, and we can't give in to that. He even spelled out the exact situation we're facing today, and he did it not just on the Senate floor, he did it on television in 2013. ABC's This Week, October 6th, 1913. He said, we believe strongly in immigration reform. We could say we're shutting down the government. We're not going to raise the debt ceiling until you pass immigration reform. He said it would be government chaos. Well, he's right, it would be government chaos. That's what Senator Schumer said in 2013, and now he's trying to create exactly that same government chaos that he described back then. And it's for the exact same reason that he talked about in 2013, the exact same reason that the Washington Post cites as the reason today's front page. Democrats tie Dreamers to passage of budget deal, the same reason as outlined the front page of the New York Times today. Democrats dig in on immigration. What's different now is that Democrats have decided to stake all of their political hopes on this one issue. They're holding America hostage to do it. Madam President, nobody benefits from the Democrats shutting down the government. Nobody benefits from the game the Democrats are playing with the security and the safety of American families. To me, it's irresponsible for them to seek this shutdown over their agenda on this issue of immigration. We should pass the resolution that we have before us today. It's time for Democrats to stop back from the damage that a shutdown will cause to children, to our military, to our veterans, to our economy, and return to the table to discuss the issues which they are focused. So I would recommend to my colleagues, Madam President, across the aisle, that they follow the advice from Senator Schumer in 2013. Don't play politics with people's lives and create governmental chaos. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.